Solace by That Lemony Fuck, read by Deathlights. Chapter 5, Separate. The blinding whiteness drains from your vision to reveal that you are standing in a park, not at all far from cobblestone roads and old-looking houses, all of it having some kind of unidentifiable quality to them, something that made them feel not entirely realistic. Then there was the inhabitants. All of them like the creature you ventured here with. Small, chest-high technicolor ponies with their own unique, obscure markings on their flank. Some even sported a horn or a pair of wings, definitely relating to the mythological creature portion of the notes. However, before you can begin to appreciate what whoever was on about when they wrote the notes when they mentioned a cartoon world, you gain awareness of the situation you're in. Surrounding you on all sides are more locals, kitted out in golden armor, each with a spear pressing against your neck, glaring at you with vicious intent. Complying with the threat, you stay deathly still. Looking around, you see many of the natives stop in their tracks to take a look. Some running away out of fear, or worse, to get their friends to take a look. If that wasn't enough, the pony beside you had gone back to trembling again. You didn't know if she could hear, or if feeling was the only remaining sense. But you didn't let her know that you made it through safely, using the term as loosely as it gets. Not long after your arrival, after some hushed chatter, one of the armed ponies broke off from the group and was out of sight before long. Where he'd gone was up to the imagination. The audience, meanwhile, grew and grew relentlessly. Some looked at you, some looked at the creature beside you. No matter who they were looking at, their expressions shone the same things: concern, fear, and disgust. Many of them muttered to each other, and you can pick up random words in the air. That's one of them. What are they waiting for? It deserves it. Terrible creature. But the remarks judging you for a crime you did not commit did not evoke annoyance or anger, but a pang of guilt. Your thoughts were interrupted, however, as the armed pony returned to the group, and they all withdrew their weapons from your flesh. Although they still remained pointed at you. You rub the ache away from your neck, and drape a hand over the mint green pony's back. To the clamor of gasps of the crowd, her shaking slows to a halt, and her composure is regained, causing even more quiet talking among the natives. At that moment, another bright flash of light occurs mere meters from where you stand, and you avert your eyes. When the effects wear off, you retreat to yet another vengeful sight. Before you stands another pony, much larger than the others, easily reaching your head height. The differences didn't end there, as you can see it was adorned with all kinds of accessories, with a long flowing mane of 3 colors you estimate, and this one had both wings and a horn. An alicorn? Isn't that what they were called? At its arrival, all around but you and the pony next to you bow. This quickly comes across that this is a bit more serious than law enforcement. As the locals stand back up, the murmuring increases yet again, giving less care hiding their words. She's mad, it's in for it now. Finally, it will get what's coming to it. You deeply hope you wouldn't. It eyes you for a full minute, looking over your form with apparent malevolence, before looking worriedly to the pony beside you. When it looks back at you again, its gaze becomes even more fury than before. What do you have to say for yourself? The fact that these things are capable of sentence, let alone speech, bewilders you. Not to mention the fact that this alicorn just teleported here. Judging by its voice, it too was a female. Now it was your turn to tremble. I'm not the person responsible for this. As you reply, the crowd goes silent. Either they're surprised you could talk, as you were that they could, or they're waiting for this to turn sour. You hope they weren't waiting for you to be punished. Whatever that would be. The alicorn dismisses your response with another question, as you rack your mind trying to think how you could possibly prove your innocence. My subjects, who's witnessed the kidnapping of Lyra Heartstrings, describe the captor as a strange, 2-legged animal, not too dissimilar to marsupials. You seem to fit the description very well. Explain yourself. You remind yourself why you were doing this, why you made the decision to help this pony, With your back straight, you attempt to look strong in will. Although, beneath the surface right now, things weren't exactly the same. You are not a cruel man. I am not a cruel man. I'm not the one who did this. My kind number is 7 billion, and there are people far worse than I. I found this creature out in the cold, alone and scared. I took it into my care, cleaned its coat of the blood and dirt left by the others far more wicked than I. Then I vowed I'd be there for it, whatever it was. It needed help, and as fate would have it, I was the one to give that help. The Alicorn looked you over again, spending a moment in silence after your attempt to plead. Your words alone are not enough for redemption. How am I to know what you say is true? How am I sure that you're not the one who did this? You found a disbelief after what you just said to be frankly offensive. This time, your stoicism is not false. If I was the sick bastard that did this, why on earth would I have brought her back? You wanted to leave it at that and let logic show your innocence, but you felt an urge to continue. I am not so vile that I would take a being like this and turn it into a monstrosity, much less bring it back to remind you of the grave things done. Your valiance melts away, leaving a little more than a beg. You didn't come this far to fail now. Please, you have to believe me. I feel like the true monstrosity if I left this uncorrected. You never thought yourself to be too religious, but you prayed she'd find your words to be true. And to your relief, the anger in her eyes dissipated, but still outwardly dismissive towards you. She sounded calmer and much less intent on having you committed for somebody else's evils. I suppose you make sense. With that, you heard some of the crowd behind her sigh. Whether they came to believe what you were saying, or they were disappointed you wouldn't be sentenced, you weren't sure. Very well, we will see to her. You, on the other hand, you're free to go. Go? You were not going to be made to abandon this, not now. Go? You think I'm just gonna give up now and just hope things turn out well? What kind of pathetic mongrel do you take me for? Regretting your choice of tone, you try to ditch the anger and calm yourself down. Listen, I need to know that she comes out of this alright. If you send me back now, the ignorance would be unbearable. The Alicorn gave a sigh at your persistence, though the anger in her eyes was now but completely exhausted. Alright, we shall find accommodations for you somewhere, but I hope you understand, until we can be sure they are completely clear of all involvement in this, I must have some of my guards keep a watch on you. That was a small price to pay in return for seeing everything was alright. That's fine, thank you very much. You move in front of the lime green pony, crouch down and take her hoof in your hand. Whether she could hear you or not, you hope she knew what you were saying to her. I have to leave you for a while. You're gonna be taken care of. Facing the fact that this was goodbye, at least for now, your words reduced to but a whisper. I'll be here for you, never forget that. Fighting the urge to let loose, you take a step back and let two guards escort her away, muttering about how they're going to need all the regenerative magic in a question for this. As the rest finally stand down, most of what the escorting guards said went right over your head, and you figured you had some research to do in your time here. The crowd began to dissipate, two other guards escorted you away, and the rest and the Alicorn headed off into the distance, probably to that weird castle on the mountainside.